Hey, listeners, we are looking for all of your questions regarding medicinal cannabis use.
Mm-hmm.
We had an expert come on, and we had her name was Dr.
Rachna Patel.
Right.
She was kind enough to say she would return and answer our many
right.
questions.
So she's here to answer your questions, and we want them. So between now and June 7th, we would like you to submit your questions in 2 ways, if possible. One of two ways. Not 2 ways. One of 2 ways. Okay.
I mean, you could do both if you want to.
The best way is to go to our show notes.
Right.
And there is a form on there. Fill out the form, which will include your email and space for your questions. And then make sure that you include in there how you want to be identified.
Right.
So if you want to be identified as Cheryl Q, then just sign Cheryl Q on there. Or if you want to be identified as R period, that's fine.
Anonymous, let us know.
Or anonymous. That's
or
totally
boogeyman.
fine.
Yeah.
As long as it's not profane.
Right. If you do not let us know that, then we will just take your first name and we will put the first initial of your last name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So in that case, it'd be Patrick H.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The other way to do it is if you're a big Facebook user, you can go to Facebook and we are I think our moniker is at The Practical Herbalist on Facebook. And
Yes.
you can direct message us, who's going to be monitoring those. And we'll be putting them together and we will cull out and get the top 10 or 15, maybe 20 questions. We don't know how many we'll get to in our show with her, but we're looking for your questions. So this is your chance. Anything you wanted to know about medicinal cannabis use
From the good doctor.
From the good doctor, this has been her calling.
Pro.
Yep.
So this
The
is your
cannabis
chance.
expert.
June 7th, either fill out an info or fill out the form on the show notes or use the messaging system inside Facebook and we will monitor that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get those questions in. June 7th. Welcome to Real Herbalism Radio, coming to you from River Road Studios in Eugene, Oregon. Today's show is made possible by all the other things that we do in our lives. Sue, what do you do in your other life?
What do? I have a crazy life. I do everything herbal, it seems, all the time. Of course, this podcast and then writing articles for The Practical Herbalist and then Occupy Medical, which is our free integrated health clinic. I love being the clinic manager and the lead herbalist there.
501c3 people.
Yeah, that's right. It's 501c3. So
Donate.
if you do that,
Right.
if you do choose to donate, which I would be grateful for, then you will get a tax receipt for that. And
but you're not accepting lemon balm donations.
God, no, we're not accepting. There's so much lemon balm. So we are good.
So what do you really need there? What's your?
What do we actually? We've been really good at getting sock donations, and we seem to always need that clean, no holes. People often think that the unhoused will just sit there and patch stuff.
They're
when
going to darn socks.
Yeah, they're going to sit around and darn socks. They're like, look, they have nothing better to do with their time. But in the cold and wet, their fingers aren't working very well because they don't get to go in and warm up or dry up.
The way socks are made today, you can't darn them. So it's just not.
Some of them are pretty tricky. So just if you're wanting to be kind to people, be kind in a way that is helpful to them is what we're asking. We have gotten some weird donations, like we got a donation of dirty diapers, which I wasn't very pleased with.
Yeah, goodness.
Yeah. I was extremely displeased with that one. We've gotten a donation of bandages that were probably from the 50s. They were like falling apart.
Oh, that's not helpful.
I think, people just cleaning out your closet, please consider where that stuff is going. Because some stuff, we're not a museum.
I'll tell you, I think the best donation people could give you would be money.
Right. That would be great.
That
because
way
we can definitely
buy the things
pay
you
rent
need.
or things like that.
Yeah, you can buy the things that you truly need.
Yep. And now that we're in a building, which is great because we were in the bus before, I have time for lots of other things, and we're able to help other agencies, HFA Alliance and places like that, which is just fabulous. So we're able to do a second clinic a week, which is great. And then the things that we do for rescue work in the community for people that are not just the unhoused, but people that are housed and they're just right on the edge.
Another donation I'm betting you guys could really use would be the services and time of a grant writer, someone who's got experience in writing grants, especially for nonprofits.
Yep.
I'm betting you guys could really, really use that support.
Yeah. Yep. Yes.
So all of you herbalists out there who are also grant writers and want to spend a little time.
Want to do that. For my own work, I have a Patreon account. People can go check that out, and that helps me be a community herbalist. Some of the stuff that I do isn't necessarily for practical herbalists, isn't necessarily for Occupy Medical, but it kind of rides in the middle. And so getting some support for that has made a big difference to me, my ability to continue doing some of the crazy things I do. Just even things like beeswax and for salve making and stuff like that. There's a community member that donates packaging for us.
Nice.
That's so we can transfer stuff into smaller packages for people that they just need a little bit of shampoo to get through their week or what have you, toothbrushes.
Not dirty toothbrushes.
Not dirty
toothbrushes.
And my kingdom for a dentist. Oh God, I would love just send a dentist UPS to me, and I will be happy.
There you go. There you go.
Get that on Amazon Prime.
I probably could. I probably could. Yes.
All right, Candace, what are you doing when you're not doing this?
When I'm not doing the Practical Herbalist and Real Herbalism Radio, I am helping others grow. That's been my new realization over this last few weeks.
In which way?
I like to help businesses grow. I do that through Mud Pod Design House.
Okay.
And helping entrepreneurs of small to medium-sized businesses, especially folks who are just getting started. I help them find and get the right printing and website design and that sort of thing that they need to really get up and get rocking.
So you're like business compost tea. You're like that. That's what you are.
Yeah.
She's going to kill me for that one
we
later.
We are the business compost tea. Oh, man.
You can find Sue's body at Shallow Grave, number 308.
Is there anything else that you like to do?
I do some consulting. I don't do as much herbal consulting as I did before, but I'm doing some through Get Healthy Now, and I do represent Juice Plus, and I sell that to help families just make sure that they're staying healthy and they're doing it with organic sources. And I don't know. I mean, was it like a week ago? I think it was about a week ago. I was at Animal Communication Club, and I was, sharing herbal information with the other people in my Animal Communication Club and talking a little bit actually about cannabis, but we'll get into that in a little bit.
So, yes, we will.
I'm always doing things that are related to herbs and herbalism. And one of the big things, I don't go out into the community and hand out stuff like Sue does, but I spend a lot of my time talking with people I run into about herbs and herbalism.
Yeah.
I had one of the folks in my workout group ask me about whether or not black seed oil would be a good possible solution for what she was dealing with, which included things like insomnia and, middle life stuff. And she and I sat down and talked like 5 minutes. And I told her, after talking to her, it was pretty clear that it looked like she needed to do some liver support. So I suggested, start with some good milk thistle. And so I do things like that to just, get people started.
People are going to ask about black seed oil.
Yeah.
So we're going to cover that a little bit later too.
We probably should.
Okay.
You said flaxseed.
Black seed.
Black seed.
Cumin seed, I believe it is.
Black cumin. Okay.
So,
Nigella.
I didn't know what black seed was. It's just, black
right.
seed.
See? No,
black? Really?
Yeah.
Black seed.
Is it poppy seed?
Which are the many black seeds? Right. There's many black seeds.
Right, exactly. And so what I do is Mud Pod Design as well, and I do the graphic design part and the website design part. So I take businesses' ideas and make marketing materials for them and the requests and everything from supporting big businesses to the startup business. So I have clients that have 300-person companies, and I have clients that are themselves. So I go from the gamut. So, and that's what we do, and that's how we can help businesses grow, is through that. And then when I'm not doing that, I'm quoting and designing T-shirts for our T-shirt business. So my son and I run a T-shirt business. So that's the other thing that I do.
T-shirt business. It's a little more than just T-shirts.
Well, it's T-shirts, hats, and other things, of course. But it's custom printed apparel, and we've done the grocery bags. We can print on grocery bags.
And aprons. You've done aprons before.
We can do aprons. If there's a big enough place to put it under the press, we can put something there.
Yeah.
So, and with our hat press, we can do sleeves and hats pretty easily. So it's pretty neat. But yeah, that's what we do. So with that, I guess it's time to say on with the show. And today's show is our Herb Lab show, 189. God, we're so close to 200.
I know.
Today's show is about medicinal cannabis with Dr. Rachna Patel, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So she was on, and she was really great. She had a lot of energy. She talked about all the stuff, and I was like, she's just loaded with information.
Yeah.
You could just see she wanted to pop, you know.
Oh, yeah. We could have easily had a 3-hour show.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And she's so generous to want to come back even. So remember those questions that we asked you guys to get at the beginning of the show. Make sure
on medical marijuana. Yeah.
On June 7th.
And remember, she's not here to diagnose your problem. She's answering questions about medical marijuana.
Exactly.
So
CBD,
it would be
THC
irresponsible to try to diagnose someone's issue with just, here's my question.
Right. Exactly. Which, we do get those. So today's show is going to be talking about, I guess, our experiences with medicinal marijuana, our specific uses and things we've done with it, and maybe a funny story or two. And with that, here are your hosts, Candace Hunter and Sue Sierlupe.
I'm Candace Hunter.
And I'm Sue Sierlupe. And welcome to Real Herbalism Radio.
So
So
I have stories.
yes, you
And,
do.
When I was a kid, marijuana was around, and it was, but it was taboo,
Yeah.
and it was bad. It was illegal, and only those people there did it.
Mm-hmm.
And
The hippies.
And I was afraid of it.
Oh wait, no, you're young. Their hippies
No, this
were
wasn't
around
hippies.
when,
Yeah, this wasn't. Well, no. No,
because you were raised in the '80s, weren't you?
Well, that was the teenage years.
Yeah.
The young years were just coming out of that, just coming out of the Vietnam War, and I was 4 when that was happening. We were finishing up, and Nixon and all that. So I wasn't. I was really not even part of that culture. But where I lived in northern Minnesota, it wouldn't have mattered. There were no hippies in northern Minnesota.
No, I don't think
Stop them at the border.
Yeah.
There was no.
They
none of
never
that,
made it past Forest Lake.
Right. So,
No.
and we grew up in a depressed area. It was a mining town, and it was good and bad, but there was a lot of working class people, and nothing wrong with that. But a lot of people sometimes need to break off and do things to make it palatable, and that was one of those things that some people chose to do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was one of the medicinal uses of cannabis, like centuries ago in India and way back when. The people that were the workers that were building the various monuments and whatnot, that was one of the things they took a lot of cannabis to get through.
Well, this will segue to another historical thing, and when we had our guy from Andy from Emerald Valley Growers, and he gave us a story about how CBD consumption actually happened quite a bit during our founding fathers' time.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't that they were consuming it like, oh, I know what that is. It's that the cows would eat the hemp.
Yeah.
And that would get into the milk, and then they would milk the cows, and they would take it in.
Mm-hmm.
So there was CBD through the whole process, and then they would have it in their system. So just kind of
so they all would have tested positive for cannabis.
They would be like, milk is good food.
Good food.
Good milk, man. Got milk.
Where's the
milk,
cheese,
man?
But
thank you, Big Lebowski.
But going back to that idea of where it was and how taboo it was to, a couple of weeks ago, a friend of mine was cleaning out his storage cabinet in his office, and he was talking to me as he was doing this, and then he said, and we were talking about something, business thing, and then he says, "Oh, look, a bag of weed," and it was just so nonchalant about, "Oh, look, I just have this bag of weed." And I'm like, "Wait, what? You have a bag of weed in your what?" And he goes, "Oh, yeah,
you're wrong.
I found this in the parking lot in front of the office." I'm like, "So then you decided to take it in and store it?"
Yeah.
In your office?
In your office, And I think that's the culture that we live in. Now, I know there are still states that this is still taboo. And it's still something you would never talk about.
Oh, right, sure.
But here it's, I found a bag of weed on the street and I picked it up.
I forgot about it.
So it was just that whole idea that just brought me back to this. This was so illegal and so scary, and you go to jail for this. And now it's like, bag of weed, my girl.
And it was going to make you go crazy if you took it.
Oh yeah, you don't want to be a pothead
Yeah.
It's a gateway drug.
Oh yeah, that one too. It's a gateway drug, you know. So from that usage to now, it's, you know, like Sue made up this concoction, and she can tell you all about it, last year for her cat.
Right.
And maybe it didn't work, and that's why she thought it might be a good birthday present for me.
No, it worked great on my cat. Like my cat, he has a lot of arthritis. He's 16, and he doesn't like to be inside anymore because the two little cats are inside.
Yes, and young'uns are irritating.
They are irritating, and he is a hefty wad of cat. This is Godzilla.
Yeah.
So
aptly named.
And when he is feeling bad, he lets the world know how badly he's feeling. And he just kind of waddles and his legs hurt. And so I've been giving him the CBD tincture in his water, and it's made a big effect on him. And he's normally, when he's not being a crotchety old man, then he sits on your lap and he cuddles and he gives you the bedroom eyes and like, making biscuits and the whole thing. He's just a completely different creature. But without that tincture, he is a poop.
He's not himself.
He's a thing. All right. So I was like, well, if it works for this cat, then surely it would work for Patrick.
So from a 10-pound cat or whatever to, you know,
10 pounds. Ha 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 ha.
Okay, 20 pound, bigger. Okay, 20-pound cat to a 6 foot, you know, 300-pound guy, you know, and so I got this bottle from you, and I was like really excited, like, oh, this is a great birthday present, awesome. And I didn't use it. Because of your knee. Right, because of my knee, because of my the arthritis in my knee. So I didn't use it, and I didn't use it. One day I was hurting, and I'm like, you know what? Okay, fine. I'm just going to get through my own blocks about marijuana. I'm just going to do it. So I did it. It was great. I mean, the pain was gone.
Who the hell knew that something Sue would give me would work?
Right? Yeah, because it's this Teasel stuff. That didn't do anything.
Did I ever hear you Teasel for that?
Yeah.
I did. Yeah.
So, you know, and I tried, but this was like instant. And then, you know, I wouldn't say that I used it every day, but anytime I was still doing Taekwondo a little more frequently.
So like 2 months later, I looked at the bottle. I'm like, sweetheart, there's like maybe half an ounce left. You might want to be a little more conservative here.
Yeah, and then she cut me off, and then I was like, well, I have to go back to my hookup.
I don't know when we're going to get more, man.
So I haven't gone back to Sue and says, hey, Sue, any more of the CBD stuff?
Right, yeah. And I'll just open my overcoat with the used watches and the
I think that, that's the hardest part as being an herbalist, is getting it in the higher CBD quantities that you want.
And knowing that it's grown properly.
Right. Yeah, because, you know, our friend, you know, he gave me the bag of weed, you know.
He did?
Yeah, because he didn't want it.
Right. Yeah.
And so I smelled it. I'm like, yeah, this is not worth it. I mean, it's street weed, literally.
Right.
The street
weed. In the street.
So, you know, I know that if I brought it to Minnesota, there'd be a bunch of teenagers lining up, but I don't think we need that. So, you know, you know, I pretty much threw it away.
I'm kind of like, it's compostable, babe.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just not.
Let the worms enjoy that.
So, I haven't used it since. Partly, I've done other things to help, you know, mitigate the pain. I stopped doing a lot of Taekwondo, which has been a big decision. It was hard because it's been such a big part of our lives for so many years.
Oh, I didn't know you stopped.
I haven't gone in a while.
It's just too hard on your knees.
Yeah, it's the pivoting.
Right.
It's the body turning on it, and that's when. And if I do it, and the last time I did Taekwondo, and I did like 3 forms, and my knee hurt all day.
Taekwondo is a art that's really made or designed for people who are wiry and like runner types of bodies, you know, kind of thin, and whether they're short or tall, they're lightweight. You know, you have to be light on your feet to be able to get all of those kicks off. And I
just don't have the body for it. So I decided that I would do, you know, CrossFit and cross training and weightlifting.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And that's made a huge difference in my knees and flexibility and being able to do things I could not do even a year ago. Now I can get into deep squats that I couldn't do, deep lunges I couldn't do. I can get up from sit, you know, pretty easily now, that I was having difficulty with. So that's been awesome. I can't, you know, I haven't needed the tincture as much because of that, because I'm not doing the pivoting and the kicking and the putting all the weight on the foot and then trying to do a round kick and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's not to say I won't go back, but if I go back, I probably won't use my legs much anymore.
You also you've been making changes to, your musculature and the way that you walk and that sort of thing, but you've also done things like added omega oils, fatty acids.
That's right.
And
I've done a lot of that.
Added collagen, and you've added magnesium, calcium supplementation.
Yeah, I take quite the bit. I have a panoply. I have a whole array of things. I say take omegas in the morning, and then I don't even have magnesium in the morning.
Yeah.
And then I've got a collagen mix now that's full of peptides and stuff. And then I've got the nighttime juice plus that I take, and it's like it's quite a
You're a pill popper.
I am a pill popper.
Yeah, see, it is the gateway drug.
I have right.
See?
No, I have 2 trays now.
Actually,
wow.
Trays.
It was hard to get used to having trays of pills, but then when I realized, I started looking at it, I'm like, they're capsules of plant matter. That's pretty much what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that's a lot better than capsules of pharmaceuticals. And if I do this now and get over myself about it, later, hopefully, this is the stuff I'll still be taking instead of needing pharmaceutical drugs and medications.
Yeah,
right.
knock on wood.
Yeah.
So it worked really well for me.
Mm-hmm.
I recommended it to people as well. And I think, Candace, you had tried it. And
yeah, I have had back pain off and on.
Sciatic?
No, I was in a car accident.
Oh, yeah.
20 years ago, and it caused some minor damage to my discs, not irreparable. The cartilage that holds the disc in place had started to break down in a couple of spots in my back. And then I did the physical therapy and whole ton of chiropractic, massage therapy, acupuncture, just tons of things I've done.
Mm-hmm.
Yoga therapy, the weight training is really helping. All of those things came together to help me move my body more properly, because I was not always standing right, or, there were things that weren't in alignment. And so making all those changes have helped immensely. But when I get really stressed out, my muscles want to go back to the really old patterns, and they start to get pain. And I tried the cannabis, and it didn't do squat for me. But what I've noticed about cannabis for me in the past is that it doesn't seem to do what I need done. So although I absolutely love that plant, I don't think it's the right medicine for me most of the time. So
yeah, well, and that's one of the great things about having a diversity of plants available to us.
Yeah, and I'm thankful that we live in a community that allows it to be a part of the pharmacopoeia that everybody is allowed to use. So I'm grateful that we are in a place where you can just say, "Oh, look, a bag of weed."
Right. A bag of weed, yeah.
You're not worried about, oh my God, I just said that over the telephone and the feds could come down on me.
Right.
We don't worry about that, thank goodness.
Yeah. J. Edgar Hoover's probably just turning in his grave right now. But I think that the next step that we'll see is blends with CBD. People will be using not just CBD, but CBD with other herbs that help for anxiety, for pain, for, combining herbs for bone pain, nerve pain, etc. Ones that are specifically for sciatic pain, like St. John's wort, those kind of things that rather than just it's just CBD, man, it's just this, and the blends, I think, is really going to open up the industry more and be able to help more people. Yeah.
I'm excited about that, and I'm excited about the idea that, like Andy said, he was sourcing or looking at, possibly moving into growing more CBD in future.
Right.
And I'm hoping that we see more growers in this area start to do that, so that buying CBD straight up, extracted or whatever, it is actually good and I can trust it.
Right. Well, there's so much more to pain than just the physical part of the pain. There's when people have physical pain, oftentimes they will remember what happened, like in your case, a car accident, or, that feeling of being useless, or a feeling of being a burden. And those have emotional drains on people, and that itself increases inflammation. So we know that the depression is tied to inflammation.
Yeah.
So just having blends that will treat those different types of things. And it's also, settling your stomach, having herbs in that mix that help calm the stomach, to help regulate your bowels, help with a bunch of other things that seem to be a problem when people are in pain. It's rarely just one thing. So the formulas that I look forward to seeing in our future, I think, is going to be instrumental now that we have a heavy hitter out there.
Yeah.
That people are looking kindly upon, as opposed to just opioids,
right?
Which was our heavy hitter before. Right. And it was overdone. And we don't want to do that with cannabis. We don't want to do the exact same thing we did with opioids, which can be a wonderful tool. Obviously, it helped me through my heart surgery.
Oh, yeah.
Going through that without opioids would have been a terrible experience.
I'm definitely not against the opioid
fentanyl,
family.
Yeah.
But I do think that, like you said, it's overused. I'm thankful that, Dr. Patel and people like her are out there actually pushing the edge of modern medicine and saying, no, we need to really look at this. We need to find a better path.
Yeah.
And cannabis can be a part of that in a powerful way.
Yeah. Don't say no to the science of this. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Continue to push the frontier, continue to look at it in a symbiotic way as the evolution of our culture expands, then the evolution of our consciousness and the evolution of our medicine, economics, everything has to change.
Yeah.
Stagnation is death.
It is. It is. All around it is.
Yeah, definitely. So the working with medical marijuana, my big thing has been with this dog that has come into my daughter's world. Mm-hmm. She adopted a rescue dog that was, when she got her Potato is the dog's name, because it's an English bulldog, and she had been a bred dog. So her job was just to give birth to puppies, and English bulldogs don't give birth vaginally. They've been bred out of that. So they have to have C-sections, and it was a inappropriate breeder. So her C-sections were sloppy.
Oh,
so here she is, age 3, and she can really barely walk. She can't go upstairs. She can't jump up on the furniture. She's, her back end has got a lot of issues, and she does this little chomping thing, like a seizure kind of thing. So a CBD oil is what my daughter has been using, which is expensive.
Yeah,
is very, very helpful for this poor dog. But it's a therapy dog. So as my daughter Kendra is working with this dog, also it's helping her heal from some of her anxiety, and so it's just really nice to see that what that dog is bringing her in her life. But the expense of it means, of course, that mom is now in charge of making that.
Mom needs to step up.
Yeah. So experimenting with different oils, the MCT oil, a lot of these oils I can't touch because there's coconut in them.
Ouch.
Yeah. So I'm very, for the audience, I'm very, very allergic to coconut. If it gets on my skin, then I break out into a rash. If it gets in my body, then I need to have a shot for that. So it's very, very unpleasant. Mm-hmm. And there's a small minority of us that react in that way. And I happen to be part of the lucky few. But it doesn't mean it's out of my life. I still have to work with it.
Right.
So just trying different sorts of things. The tincture was easy to make because, I was a tincture maker for a decade in the herbal industry professionally. I worked in the lab, so that was sure I got that. But the way this one works, that high resinous it's like playing with the temperature that I have found to be a little tricky. So I'm still working on it.
It'd be nice if we could find a medicinal cannabis maker who focuses on CBD and does like the
Topicals.
shatter or the extracts that are like the solid ones that are not extracted into an oil, so you don't have to worry about the coconut at all.
Right.
And then you can take that, the chunks of that stuff and turn them into the preparations that you want.
Yeah.
And then you'd be able to control the oil, and you'd be able to better control the intensity of the dosage.
Right.
For
yeah.
it.
And that's the other thing is it's such a small.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big dog, but it's smaller than a human. So I've been focusing on using the leaf, not the bud.
Yeah.
The roots. So those are that I'm having more. I think I'm having more success with that. because I want to be very careful. You don't want to give a dog THC. No, I know there's going to be some in that because that's just the way plants are, but oh man, have to be very careful. They don't have context, so that's unpleasant for them.
Yeah, in my animal communication club, there's a couple of people who have dogs who have chronic anxiety. Like one of them, I think the dog may have, honestly, a PTSD type of anxiety. It's really bad. And they've been finding that the cannabis dog treats that they get from one of the local shops are perfect, and they just give them just a small amount. And one of the other dogs has some, I can't remember, I think he's older if I remember right, like a 13-year-old, an elder, and has arthritis in his hips, if I remember correctly.
Is it a bigger dog?
Yeah, larger dog. Yeah. And so she said that she just gives him he gets very excited about having his special pain cookie every day. And he lets her know when she's late on that. So it's been a very effective tool for some of the folks in our group.
Yeah. So it's been people, cats, and dogs. That's the experience I have giving it to critters.
Yeah.
And I guess y'all have been experiencing giving your bag of weed to mice or whatever's in your compost.
The local rats, probably. The worms.
The worms.
The worms can work on that cannabis. See how that works.
That's right. Yep.
I think it's neat though that so you can get it without a problem.
Oh yeah, it's great. It would have been a huge issue a couple decades ago.
Well, even a few years ago, it would have been more of a challenge because you'd have to do it in a roundabout way.
And I sure as hell wouldn't be talking about it here on the radio.
Yeah, you would be talking about it. So I mean, that's exactly the point. Is that it's just that difference. I think I've told the story before, but when you look at our local weekly
Eugene weekly newspaper.
I mean, the back cover, the inside back cover, the center spread. I mean, these are all cannabis shops. With all these different strains that they're pushing and their prices. And I think I sent my sister one just in the mail once to see the difference.
All right, yeah. This is where we live.
Yeah, because they have one there in Cary, I'm sure too. So
she lives way out east.
Yeah, so that difference of it's just. Culturally, it's just here and it's just right there, and you can't drive in this city without being exposed to it in some way. Whether a billboard advertising it,
Surprisingly, we haven't all gone crazy, and we haven't opened a gateway, as far as I can tell, to some more serious drug problem than we had previously.
Yeah, it's been a gateway for people to get off of opioids, which has been great.
Yeah,
and I've worked with a lot of people in my clinic that's part of their regime for getting off of the heroin and stuff like that. I have had to change my attitude towards cannabis because I've had to do a lot of work because I have a few persons in my life that when they would smoke, they would become very different people. And of course, it's a mind-altering drug. And the people that they would become were complete asses.
Not positive.
Right. So I would smell that and go, oh, great, let the manipulations begin.
Right.
Or they do the conversations, which has all these inside jokes. And you'd sit there, so are you going to, what are you talking about?
They're very
and
boring.
they wouldn't tell you because it was part of that game. Yeah. Because they're in that mode of the time, then it's, I was like, man, you guys are really rude.
Yeah.
They're very exclusive. They're just plain old rude and would get involved in their paranoia. So then I was considered part of the whatever it was that was oppressing them or whatever, at the time. The man.
You became the man.
It's me. I'm the man. And it built up this wall where when I'd smell it, I'd sort of go, oh God.
Yeah.
Let the rudeness begin. Here we go. And
you were victimized by cannabis.
I feel like I had PTSD about cannabis. So I had to really make that not only was that then, but that was also perhaps the effect of a certain strain or something. And it was part of that relationship. And I need to let all of that go.
Yeah.
The people that I'm talking about, they've grown in their personal lives. I don't play those games anymore, so I'm not going to be part of that. My part isn't get them there, and the cannabis itself has changed a lot. So, and I'm going to tell the audience that I'm calling that my version of adulthood.
That's really
as
good adulthood.
good as I get.
That's good adulthood.
Yay! Don't expect anything else.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's a change for all of us.
Well, one of the interesting things that is happening just currently is that I believe, I can't remember what representative from what state, but they have introduced banking legislation.
Oh, good.
So they want to bring it up to the front because there's the opportunity for taxation.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, if they can track the income, then they know where it is, and they know how to tax it, and they can give you more money. I think the federal government's starting to realize they're missing out.
Yeah.
It's about time.
And to be honest, that will only legitimize the business.
Yeah.
You know, when you can get loans, when you can get credit, when you can put the money in a bank,
and make it safer. So these shops are in our neighborhoods,
right,
and walking around with literal bags of money,
right,
because they can't.
Yeah, you can't use your debit card there. You have to go in with cash. So there's a lot of cash pouring into the shops.
It's a cash business.
Yeah.
It's a straight cash business. And,
so make it safer.
It would make it
for
safer.
The rest of us.
You know, and all those facilities, you know, they have a ton of security as it is, but they have to have even more because there's cash on hand.
Yeah.
You know, and I would not want to be the employee taking the cash bag at the end of the day to wherever it has to go.
No, that would be terrifying.
Forget about robbing a bank.
Right?
Yeah. Go rob a pot shop.
Wait, this is not a call to action, by the way. We're not advising it.
Do that.
We're expressing our fear.
They have a lot of, well, first of all, their security systems are
huge.
Really, really good.
Oh, God, yes.
And their video systems are really, really good.
Yeah.
So you'd have to be an extremely good person, criminal
to do it.
Easier
to rob a bank, to be honest.
Would you stop getting us into trouble? The banking industry is going to send you a bad email. So I have a friend that lives across the street from one of those cannabis businesses, and she went to the cannabis business and was talking about how the employees were parking across the street, you know, right near her
house.
Near her driveway. And they said, "Oh yeah, we know about that." Oh, okay, wait. First, what do you mean? Yeah, we know about that. Oh, because we can see your house in our camera. Like your camera security system can cover across the street.
Yeah,
like cross the parking lot, cross the 4-lane street.
Suddenly, all those Hollywood movies where they're relying on CCTV to catch the bad guys sounds a little bit more plausible, doesn't it?
You wouldn't believe. That's a whole other topic, another show. But yeah, you wouldn't believe how much stuff you're filmed all the time.
I know.
I
know.
Okay, that for people that are smoking right now and they're feeling a little paranoid, this is probably the part where they get edgy.
Well, this is all about the CBD, so they shouldn't be getting edgy.
That's right.
They should be feeling good that their arthritis doesn't hurt anymore.
That's right. Yay!
You know,
no arthritis.
Or they're a little more relaxed, or
not having
whatever
seizures,
it is, or maybe they're not having as many seizures.
Name it. Yeah.
So,
oh my gosh!
If you are interested in learning a little bit more about the medicinal use of cannabis, there's a book that was written by Candace and Sue on medicinal cannabis. It's an ebook. It's available on Amazon. You can put that on your Kindle.
If you want,
you put it on your Kindle or your iPad if you have the Kindle reader, and computer if you have a Kindle reader. And
it's a Kindle book.
It's a Kindle book, and Kindle is one of those things that you can just download for free. It's an app, right?
Yeah, if you're on your computer and stuff. Yeah. You pay for the book, but you have to. The app is free.
Yeah.
And then Rachna has a book out as well, right?
Yes, I think it's called the CBD Oil Solution.
Correct.
Yes.
Right. And we should have a link to that as well on our show notes. So if you're interested more about that and getting it and learning more about medicinal uses, then by all means, the Back to Herbalist book, and then of course Dr. Raj's book. And is there anything else we got to say?
In the show notes, always check in the show notes. We've brought up our buddy Andy a couple of times, and we'll have a link to the interview that we had with him as well. There.
Oh, okay.
So you guys can understand a little bit more if you happen to miss it.
And of course, the FAQ. Send us your questions.
Send us your questions.
And just so, because this will probably be listened to again, this deadline is for June 7th, 2019.
Right.
Yes.
2019. Right.
Right. Because this podcast will have some longevity, so I don't want you to listen to it next year and go, "Oh, I got to get those in."
Right. That's right. That does have longevity, and you can always contact us through Facebook, Instagram. We have Twitter.
We aren't. We do tweet, but not extensively.
All right. Yeah. But get if you become our tweeter follower. Is that the way it is? Do you follow tweeters?
Well, yeah, you follow them, I suppose.
Okay. Then you'll be notified when articles come out and when podcasts come out, and so. And
there's 2 levels of membership that you can be in our with the Practical Herbalist. One is just become a member of our newsletter.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's true.
That's free.
That's free. You can sign up, and then you'll get weekly emails on what podcast is out. So it gives you a chance to listen. And sometimes they use that venue to announce other things. The second level would be the Herbal Nerd Society. You can become a member for as little as $4.99 a month, $50 for a year. You can do that by going to practicalherbalist.com and clicking on the Join the Herbal Nerd Society or Join the Society on the tab on the very top. Just follow the buy now buttons, and it's easy to do. And then you have access to all of our past articles that are locked down that you couldn't see before, and all of the past podcasts that are still not public.
Yeah, so, there's plenty of ways to be an herbal nerd fanatic.
There is, and to be blunt, it is what helps us rent our studio space, keep the lights on, keep the servers going, keep everything that we need to do to get this information to you. Without that, we would have probably stopped this podcast a few years ago.
Yep, very true. We appreciate your support. Thank you.
And as always, put an herb on it, bro.
Oh, God. Patrick.
FDA and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. All information provided on this podcast or any affiliated websites is for informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for advice from your physician or other healthcare professional. You should not use the information on this podcast and its affiliated websites for a diagnosis or treatment of any health problem. Always consult with a healthcare professional before starting any new vitamins, supplements, diet, or exercise program before taking any medication, or if you have or suspect you might have a health problem. Any testimonials, questions, or case studies